Hello, chemistry students. First off, if you have not watched the first video where you are reviewing how to enter exponents in your calculator for calculations, please stop this video, watch that video first, okay? This video is going to be over scientific notation, where we're changing our number over into um, a scientific number, an ordinary number. So when we do this, we're going to express our number in the form of two factors. Our first factor is going to fall between 1 and 10. So our number has to be greater than 1 and less than 10. So in this example that I have here, 5.20 is greater than 1 and it's less than 10. Your second factor is going to be to the power. So in this case, it's the times 10 to the second. Remember that this power can be a positive or a negative, depending upon if your number is greater than 1 or less than 1. So if your number is greater than 1, you're always going to have a positive exponent. If your number is less than 1, you're going to have a negative exponent. And I always say you don't want a lot of negativity in your life. So you want a little number, little negativity. Okay. So in this case, I worked these first two out for you. We'll do some more practice together. We have 520, where we are going to move the decimal point to the left because 520 is greater than 1. If we would move it just one spot to the left, 52 does not fall between 1 and 10. So we need to move it one more spot over. Does 5.2 fall between 1 and 10? Yes, it does, because 5.2 is greater than 1 and it's less than 10. So here's your first factor, the 5.2. If we would go one more spot over, 0.52, that can't happen because 0.52 is less than 1. Okay, so we do not want to do that. So we have 5.2 times 10, and how many places did we move it? We moved it 2 places, so that's where our exponent came from. And our next number here, we have 8,653,000. So we're going to move our decimal point to the left because it's greater than 1. How many places to the left? Well, it's going to be 6 places to the left because 8.653 is going to be greater than 1 and it's less than 10. So it falls between there. Times 10. And how many places did we move it? 6 places, so that's our power. If we take a look at numbers that are less than 1, this is when we're going to move our exponents to the right. So in this case, we have 0.0037. If we keep moving our exponent to the left like we did the other one, we're just making our number smaller. So that means we have to move it to the right. So if I stop here, does 0.37 fall between 1 and 10? No, because 0.37 is less than 1. So we know we need to move it over one more spot. Stop right there. Because if we move it over another place, we're at 37. That's greater than 10. So we know we don't want to do that. So we're going to go right here. So we have 3.7 times 10. How many places did we move it? 3 places to the negative third. Okay, because this number is less than 1. We don't want a lot of negativity. Okay, so we have a small number here. The next decimal, we're going to move it to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places, because if we would have stopped right there at 0.1, that's less than 1, and it needs to be greater than 1. Or in this case, equal to 1, times 10 to the negative fifth. So I went on and I added this slide just to kind of help you out with a couple more examples. So let's take a look at our first one. Our first example, we have 7.98. You really can't move that decimal anyway to where it's going to fall between 1 and 10, that first factor. So this number is already how you're going to write it. If you'd like to, you could do times 10 to the 0 power. Let's take a look at our next example. We have 16.4. So since our number is greater than 1, that means we're going to move our decimal point to the left one place. So now we're going to go 1.64 times 10. And how many places did we move it? 1. Okay, so we have um, a number that is greater than 1. So which way are we going to move our decimal point? To the left. How many places to the left? Because it's understood to be to the right of the 9. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places. Let's just go on and round that to 8.68 times 10 to the 6th. And again, we want to have a positive exponent because this number is greater than 1. If we look at our fourth number here, our number is less than 1. So this time we're going to move it to the right. How many places will we move our decimal point to the right? 1, 2. If we stop there, does 0.7 fall between 1 and 10? No, because 0.7 is less than 1. So we're going to go one more spot over. So that's 7 times 10 to the negative third. And this number here, again, our number is less than 1, so we're going to move it to the right. How many places? 1, 2, 3. We need to keep going because 0.4 is not between 1 and 10, so we'll go here. So we'll have 4.28 times 10, and that was 4 places, and it's negative 4, again, because our number is less than 1 that we're starting with. What would happen if your calculator would suddenly die during the ACT test? You should know how to mentally work with exponential numbers, and they're very, very easy, and it's a great way to check your work too. So if you are multiplying your numbers, basically what you do is you pull out your exponential, the second factor in your number, so the times 10 to the third and the times 10 to the fifth, and you're going to add those exponents together. So we're going to have a negative 3 plus a 5 is going to give you a 2. So that's where this times 10 to the second came from. Now to get this 6.72, all you would do is take 3.2 times 2.1. If it's during a ACT type scenario, well, first off, you can narrow down your answers by looking at your powers and rule out the ones that are not into the power of 2. And we know that we're going to be dealing with an answer that's going to be somewhere within the 6 range, and you can narrow down from there. And this is also just another great way to check your work. What if you're dividing? Well, it's also simple too. This time you're going to pull out your factors, so the 6 and the 2, and you're going to subtract those powers. So 6 minus 2 gives you 4, so that's where the times 10 to the fourth came from. And then you would divide, so I would just round this number up to 2. So 6 divided by 2, I know I'm looking at 3 something. Adding, unfortunately, is not as easy as multiplying and dividing. When you're adding, your exponents have to be in the same power. So you could either change this one to the fourth by moving your decimal over one place to the left, or you could change this one to the third by moving your decimal place over one place to the right. I just went on and changed the first one to the third. So now you would have your exponent 0.58 times 10 to the fourth, and drop down your times 10 to the fourth, and then just simply add your first factors together. And it's that simple to do. But don't worry, today you get to practice using it with your calculator. So, what I would like for you to do now is to go on and practice these next problems. So pause the video and use your calculator and try solving these problems, and then we'll check and see how you did. Okay, so go on and check and see how you did with your numbers. If you need to, go on and pause the video, and I would like for you to do the next three numbers on the next slide, please. Okay, so how did you do with the final three calculations? I think you're probably ready to go and start your practice problems. The top section is where you're going to be doing what we did with the previous slide here, where you were given an ordinary number and you're going to change it into exponential number. And then the bottom section is where you're going to be solving problems, either multiplying, dividing, adding, and you're going to make sure you write your answer in an exponential number. Okay, unlike this one here, we already said that it was in its number. If you wanted to, you could say times 10 to the 0 power, because you can't move that decimal over. I'll see y'all tomorrow.